many folks see AI as this existential threat. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we're actually going to ask ChatGPT if we should be afraid of its power and how it can reassure us that our fears about it are not founded. Okay, so the prompt is this. What are the biggest fears you have seen mentioned to and about you and other AI tools about your technology? How likely are those fears to come to fruition? And crucially, how would you go about reassuring humanity that those fears are unfounded? That's the prompt. This is ChatGPT's response. Great question. People bring up a wide range of fears about AI, some rational, some exaggerated, and some rooted in deeper anxieties about change. Here are the biggest ones I've seen consistently mentioned to me and about AI technology in general, along with how likely they are. Number one, loss of jobs, mass unemployment. So the fear here, GPT, I'll summarize it for you. AI is going to automate all our jobs. Large numbers of people are not going to have work, no income. The likelihood of this is medium to high. So, but there is a caveat here. GPT says in some sectors, AI will definitely replace or reshape certain roles like data entry, customer service, basic analysis, but history suggests new jobs will emerge in unexpected fields. AI shifts the nature of work, doesn't eliminate it outright. So ChatGPT is essentially saying, y'all need to reskill, get educated, and have new pathways to different jobs in the workforce. Kind of like what happened with the internet. The second one was initially my biggest concern with using ChatGPT. Loss of human creativity and authenticity. So when I first got onto ChatGPT a few years ago, I was like, okay, I'm a creative, I have a background in filmmaking, screenwriting. This thing can, generate anything. I wonder what it can do in terms of scripts. And I was like, oh, some of the dialogue sounded somewhat natural. Some of the characters seemed like they had some personality. I was like, this is a threat. So the fear is AI-generated art, writing, and music will dilute human creativity or make human contributions feel obsolete. So the likelihood here, according to ChatGPT, is low to medium. And the reason for this is AI is powerful at remixing patterns, but it still needs human vision, taste, and context. So essentially, we live in a world now where if you have a lot of technical acumen, a lot of that can probably be replicated, but the style, the way you perform, that can't be replicated. And if you're a Rick Rubin type and you just have really good taste, this is like the golden age for you. The reassurance here is to look at AI as like a camera or a word processor. It's just a tool expanding creative capacity, and we saw that in our episode when AI Suno helped us write a song. What's uniquely human is the emotional spark, judgment, and lived experience. AI can't replicate that. Now, the next one it's a pretty big threat, and it's a pretty dangerous existential one. Bias, misinformation, and manipulation. So the fear here is that AI will reinforce biases, spread propaganda, or flood the information ecosystem with convincing but false narratives. The likelihood of this one, ChatGPT admits, is high. We're already seeing it. The reassurance is, if there is one, the answer isn't to halt AI, but to invest in detection, regulation, and digital literacy. Now, how we'll do that at a global scale is beyond me, but we need to get started, like yesterday. So we've got journalistic standards in some countries, we've got cybersecurity, fraud protection. We need that for AI as well, and I do agree with ChatGPT on that. I think this is probably, while not the most dangerous, it's certainly up there, and that says a lot. Not far behind loss of control or runaway AI. So the fear here is that AI will surpass human intelligence, develop agency, and act against our interests. Super intelligent Skynet type. The likelihood is low in the near term, says ChatGPT. Now, of course, it's gonna, oh yes, it's I know, yeah, I'm trying to take over the world. But current AI models are pattern recognizers. That's what they are. They're not fully autonomous. But in the long term, ChatGPT says, hey, this concern isn't absurd. There is reassurance here showing how current AI systems actually work. No desires, no will, no secret plots. It helps diffuse fear, but we got to take alignment research seriously, have precaution, not panic. The next one I think is, I would put that as tied with bias, misinformation, and manipulation for the two that I'm most concerned about, and this is surveillance and loss of privacy. The fear here is that AI will enable mass surveillance, facial recognition, and tracking at an unprecedented scale. The likelihood of this one is also high, if left unchecked. The technology's there, and some governments are already utilizing it. If there is reassurance for this, it's not a technological inevitability, and it's more of a policy and governance question. And ChatGPT advises democratic societies to set strict limits on surveillance and have tech companies design privacy-preserving AI. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the surveillance and loss of privacy and the bias, misinformation, and manipulation, both of those areas are the ones that I think could be most easily co-opted by a government of, any part of the world. And finally is this last one, and this is one I've wrestled with myself, and I know some people online have wrestled with it because it runs deep and it's not really rational, but it cuts to the core of who we are as a species, and that's a loss of human purpose. So the fear with this is, if AI can do everything better, faster, and cheaper, well, what's left for me to do? Why do I exist? What gives my life meaning? The likelihood of this, though, is low. We don't get purpose from how efficient we are, at least we shouldn't. We get purpose from the relationships we build, from the things we do and create, from the care we provide, and for trying to do a little bit better each day, which is what the Promptness Almanac is all about. The reassurance here is AI doesn't rob us of purpose. It frees us from drudgery, the day-to-day monotonous tasks that we have to allocate time to. We no longer have to do that with AI, with some tasks for now and others later down the line. ChatGPT also gives us a little bit of additional reassurance here. 5 different ways to reassure humanity beyond words. Number 1 is transparency. Show how these LLM models work. Showcase their limits, their error pattern. I'm a big believer in running toward the thing that you're afraid of. If you can ask questions and get a better understanding of why it is the way it is, the fear often evaporates. And I was afraid of ChatGPT before I started working with it. And now I know that it's simply a tool. No more, no less. Number 2, human-in-the-loop design. And this is my favorite. Position AI as a co-pilot, not a captain. Always, always, always with human oversight. And that's important because if you look at ChatGPT, at Claude, at Gemini as your co-pilot, it's great because it is the best way I can explain LLMs to people is it's like having a bunch of the best thinkers throughout history sitting around with you in a circle, and you get to kind of guide the conversation. And I think that's really powerful. I think that's really cool. 3rd, ethical guardrails, having clear regulations, accountability, and red teaming to prevent abuse. I think that's huge as well. And public benefit projects demonstrating that AI solves real human problems, curing diseases, improving education, fighting climate change, so people see that value firsthand is key. And the last one here, number 5, cultural shift, framing AI as a new tool in the human story, not the end of it. And this is great too, because ChatGPT gives us some context with some other earth-shattering inventions at the time. The printing press, electricity, the internet. All of these inventions seemed like they would just completely flip the world on its head. And ultimately, they empowered humanity to do things differently, and AI is no different. Bottom line here, and this is where ChatGPT will leave it, most fears, and this again, all the forums I read about people who are just so against AI, most fears are rooted in losing control. And I think there are a lot of people who are afraid that everything they've built and constructed as an identity, as an occupation, as a career, is at risk. And that's that's no joke. That's a real fear. And ChatGPT mentions this: losing control of jobs, of truth, of freedom, of destiny. The best reassurance is to design AI so it empowers human agency, not replaces it. And in typical ChatGPT fashion, it offered to sketch me a tiered AI fears map showing short-term, medium-term, and long-term risks with likelihood and mitigation strategies. So I can use it as a reference for conversations or in some of my projects. That's great too. What I'll say is this: as someone who has worked in the creative field, as someone who has worked in a sales role that could be highly automated, your success in either of those vocations isn't so much on how often you use AI. I think it's in your perspective of it. Because if you're a screenwriter and you're dismissive of it, then I think you're missing out on a way to generate some ideas when you don't feel like it. It's in how you perceive it more than anything else. So thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, do hit that subscribe button. And if you have ideas for other AI topics to cover in future videos, please feel free to comment and we will go from there. Thanks, everybody.